Hey, hey, how's it going? Sorry, I just lost my voice there for a second. All right, let's check out ZBrush. There's an approach we could take that'll get us probably a little bit closer to this kind of cellular organic structure. And just another thing we're just going to want to think about, I think, when you get into this is possibly breaking the shapes up so that you do have some close-ups and things in the beginning. You could probably get away with a different environment than like having like a giant overall environment, perhaps. Let's see, is it going to play for me? It's acting up. I noticed when she's falling, there's obviously you see a little bit more, but with some of these tighter shots or the close-ups where you're seeing a section of it, we could probably get away with maybe not like building out an entire area. And what that would allow us to do is to really kind of focus details over a smaller scale. So it'll just give us more texture detail to work with, and it'll allow you to kind of get to a more kind of completed result quicker that'll work specifically for your individual shots. But anyhow, let's take a look at how we could maybe approach building that stuff. And let me open up this on another frame, or scene I should say, screen, just so I can see the reference images here. Okay, so what I was thinking is using this guy right here. So I'm going to start by going into a cylinder, opening up my subtools, and I'm just going to change this cylinder over into a cube, or bring in a cube, I should say. Maybe delete out that cylinder. Let me just add that to my scene here. There we go. Once we have the cube here, once we have this, we could go down to geometry. Excuse me. And in geometry, we could go to this guy right here. It's a thing called a shadow box. So I'm just going to open that up, and I'm going to activate this. Now we can increase the resolution, and I'm going to do this just off the top. It's not something we can do after the fact, I'm pretty sure. So let's go with maybe 400. So we get this kind of structure here. It's basically our cube is now surrounded by 3 polygon walls, more or less. So what we can do with this, which is kind of cool, is that we can paint on this, and it's going to shape the geometry on the inside. So I'm going to start by just clearing out my box just by using mask. So this is all done through masking. So remember, Control Alt, I can remove a mask, and you can see my interior object is now gone. So let me go to my side view here. So this is where maybe I want to draw in the shape. So first thing we want to do is add in a thin thickness, so maybe something like this from the back. So now if I look around, you can see now I've got this thin thickness that is running through the middle of the box. Now what I can do is I can draw in what's the shape going to look like. So for example, if I wanted to draw in, whoops, remember we're using masking for this. So if I wanted to draw in, I can use something thinner maybe. Something organic, like some kind of organic shape. It's going to give me exactly that organic shape. So what I can do then is I can go in and start drawing in kind of like the cellular pattern that I might want. However that may be. Right? And it's going to give me exactly that structure. So I can be as specific as I want to be with this. And I can increase and decrease the size of my brush to get different results. Right, so let's say this is one structure. Right, so let's say that's one structure. What I can do then is I could go into my subtools and I can just duplicate this out. Maybe I'm going to have a couple variations of this. So let me just duplicate this out. So duplicate. I'm going to hide the original. And then on this version, I'm just going to clear everything out again. And I'm going to do it again, but maybe in a slightly different spot this time. Right, so maybe around here. So if I were to bring the other one back, you know, I've got one there, and I'm going to have one here as well. So then I can start creating a different pattern. So I'll just do two, but you can, you know, layer in as many different patterns as you want. Right, so we're starting to get into that kind of layered cellular thing going on. And I'll just do something kind of random. Something like that, maybe. I can make things a little bit thinner by erasing if I wanted to. Cool. And I can always go back to the other shape if I wanted to as well. Alright, so let's say this is kind of where I want to go with this. You know, I can go as detailed as I want to, but maybe something like this. Alright, so I've got two shapes here, right? So the next thing I might want to do is, oh, looks like I accidentally modeled some stuff in there by accident. That's okay. So next thing I'm going to do is turn off the shadow box, and that just solidifies the shapes. And I'll do it for this guy as well. So turn off the shadow box. And we do have these guys floating in here, so I think I'm just going to combine these two shapes together. So merge. Let's see here, merge. There you are. Merge visible. Maybe merge down, sorry. There we go. And this stuff here that I don't want, I'm just going to create a subtool for that. Right, so they're their own subtool. And let's see, can I just, there we go. So control, don't forget, control shift. Clicking on a polygroup allows you to hide everything else, and then I can invert that by control shift, marquee selecting. I'm going to delete hidden, so I added that to my tools, so my geometry, delete hidden. So now I'm just left with these shapes here. And with these shapes, what I'm going to do is go down to my polygroups, and I'm just going to auto group them. So I've got one group here and one group here, because what I want to do now is duplicate these one more time. So duplicate. So basically I've got these copies on top of each other. I'm going to use my move, and under my auto masking, I'm going to mask by polygroup. So what I can do now is I can go in with my move brush, and I can start kind of moving these around now, right, to create unique kind of organic intersections. Maybe I should use a bigger brush though for that. And we can smooth stuff up. Right, so we're just creating these kind of unique combinations of patterns and things. We can make some more distorted if we wanted to, or less distorted. And we're going to start getting into that kind of cellular pattern that we had in the reference images as a result. Cool. And then what I'm going to do is just combine everything together. So let me just merge down. And I'm going to then Dynamesh it together to kind of seamlessly integrate them together. So Dynamesh, maybe turn on polish. Right, so now that that's Dynamesh together, we can start smoothing things out where the intersections are happening. So we got like little bridges and things like that taking place. And I can still always just go in, even with them all to get together, because my poly groups were there. I can still go in and start shifting things around. I can even go into my Sculptress to thin things up, right? Sculptress is great at, if it lets me turn that on. That's interesting. Let's see, why won't it let me do that? Well, it should let me do that, but it's not. That's okay. But what I could do is maybe use my inflate then, like an inverted inflate, just to bring parts together a little bit. Cool. Yeah, and it's kind of just that easy. Right, just combining them and creating these unique, interesting shapes. Anyhow, so that's one way we could, another way you could approach that perhaps. Trim dynamics is a good one too if you want to get a little bit more of an angled, so a little bit more kind of cut in shapes here. Particularly I guess in areas where she might be walking. All right, and yeah, it's just kind of like that, easy. It really depends on those initial starting shapes. Then obviously you'd want to get like the texturing, like the little pit marks and things like that that you had in your reference images, which make it a little bit more sculptural and all that. I don't know what that is. Better. There we go. Alright, so that's that. I guess let me know if that's useful or not. I'll stop the recording there. That's kind of an interesting, it's getting interesting considering I didn't really spend too much time on it. You know, if you spent more time and thought, it could be a much cooler design, obviously, especially since you're going to be getting in quite close on that. And I could have pulled things out a little bit further than I did as well. Let's see, what does that look like rendered out? Oh, that's kind of interesting. All right, I'll stop it there, and good luck with that.